out. Here come former SportsCenter anchor Bob Stevens, esteemed basketball coach Rich Basirico, and Hall of Fame sports writer Curry Kirkpatrick. And someone's going under the bus.
We may get any number of people to go under the bus as we go through these next few minutes. The beauty of podcasting and the particular beauty of tonight's podcast is that Rich and Curry have no idea where I want to go here. I'm just going to throw a couple of things out there, and we may spend the whole 30, 40 minutes on these two names, or we maybe have to go on to other things. First of all, Under the Bus, brought to you by Hudson's on the Docks, a Hilton Head tradition. If you're ever on Hilton Head Island, well, look up hudsonsonthedocks.com. Take a look at the menu. Go visit them. It's getting to be springtime here. It is a great time to be there. All right, here are the two names. I want you guys, I'm just throwing them out there. Let's see where it goes. Pete Rose and Gene Hackman. Two names from this week that made a little news. Coach Curry, where do you want to go with those two names? Pete Rose may get reinstated, for crying out loud.
Why not?
Well, I think go ahead, Rich.
No, I was just saying, I think he should be. There are guys who are in the Hall of Fame who have done a lot worse things than he has. And he did gamble. I get it. I totally get it. But supposedly he didn't gamble on his teams that he was coaching and so forth, or his own team. It's kind of sad that he's not there. He's probably one of the greatest baseball players that ever played the game. And we got guys doing steroids and everything else along the way who enhanced their performance, where I don't think Pete enhanced his performance by betting on other teams.
Well, Curry? I think over time we have in the Hall of Fame, we have racists, we have drunks, we have alcoholics, we have all kinds of derelicts in the Hall of Fame that nobody knew about back then. And I think it's a shame. He should be in just for what he did on the field. And right. you can put an asterisk on him that he was suspended, etc., that he bet on games. Give him an asterisk, give him a whole paragraph. But it's a joke that he's not in the Hall of Fame. Let me tell you my Pete Rose story. I think I've mentioned this on our podcast before, but I didn't do baseball at the magazine. I did a little bit of it, but 1 year I convinced the magazine Sports Illustrated to send me to Florida, and they started a thing called the I don't even remember what it was called, but it gathered a bunch of big names from all sports to do a bunch of swimming and golf and tennis and play all these
superstars. Yeah.
Superstars. Good, Bob. Thank you.
Yep.
And I think I did the second one. The first one, it was a big hit, by the way, got great ratings. So the second year, Rose was there, O.J. Simpson was there, Franco Harris, the soccer player Kyle Rote Jr., all these, there was a couple of Olympians there, a speed skater, a skier. And so I hung around early in the week, and I hung around the tennis courts to watch these guys play tennis. Because these guys were not tennis players. They were great athletes in other sports, but they had all these other stuff we were doing down there in Florida. And so they would come over and practice. And, they had friends there, but then they practice against each other. So I was hanging around, and Pete Rose came over, and he's going to play tennis. Well, I first of all, I played OJ. OJ didn't have a guy to play against, so I played OJ and kicked his ass, beat him like 4-1 in games. Then I was going to play. I really wanted to play Pete Rose and meet him. Well, I met him, but he had a game lined up with Karl Schranz, the Austrian skier. Yeah. And of course, Rose was a total racist and U.S. guy. He hated all Europeans. And so he played Schranz. And Pete Rose had his watch on while he's playing tennis. He had his watch on. He had these, gym sneakers. And he's on a tennis court. And he was getting beat, by the way, because Schranz knew how to play tennis. And Rose didn't. But you guys, he was diving for balls. He'd dive on the pavement. It was pavement. He was all bloodied. His knees and elbows were all bloodied after about 3 games. He hit his head a few times, and he kept his watch on. His watch broke in a zillion pieces. and he came over, and he kept mumbling himself, I got to beat this guy. I got to beat this guy. And I think they tied. I think Rose got a couple of games off Carl Schratt, but it was hysterical how he played the same, he's such a competitor. He played the same way in tennis, which he had no idea how to play, that he did in baseball, which he's one of the great players of all time. But
How about that?
He was
Charlie. That's a great story.
Charlie Hustle.
And then, of course, Coach Norman Dale also passes away. Gene Hackman. Still a lot of mystery around that, but
Right.
Hackman, you guys obviously watched the movie. Rich, you probably, how many road trips did you put Hoosiers in to keep the boys happy while you were heading out?
We did watch it. Absolutely, we did watch it. That's a great movie. That's a classic. That's it's my favorite sport movie of all time. I don't know about everybody else, but it was terrific. The story behind it. Hackman was outstanding as the coach, and it was just.
What's your favorite moment from that movie? What's that favorite moment? Well, your favorite moment from the movie?
I think that, they talk about the swinging gate, when they run that play from out of, they had timeout, and his assistant coach, I can't recall the actor's name, gave him some information. They talk about that play. That was probably one of my favorite. But, you remember when he said he wasn't going to have the ball go to Jimmy. He was going to have him as a decoy. And Jimmy said to him, no, coach, I can make that shot. He said, okay, we'll go to you. Because everybody knew the ball was going to go to him. But he obviously changed his mind after Jimmy, the player, said, "I can do it." You could see everybody looking at coach like, "What? He's not going to take the last shot? Here we go. He's got it there."
Yeah.
There's the assistant coach.
Did you ever have a player talk you out of a last play?
No, but I had a player talk me into a defense. He said, "Coach, I got this guy. We're up by 1. I got him. We were going to extend our defense, and we were playing actually a team from Australia." And I said, "Okay, let's do it. This is what we're going to go with. You're going to match up with me because I got him, coach." The kid went right by him, blew by him, and pulled up and hit a shot at the top of the key, and we lost at the buzzer. So he did, he said it's what he felt. And so obviously you're going to believe in your players. And he felt good about the situation and how he could handle this kid. But this kid was just a little bit quicker than he was. I should have known better, but I believed my player and I went with it. And unfortunately we didn't win.
That guy that played the old assistant coach that gave him the play was
Dennis Hopper.
That's right. Dennis Howard. I was going to say he was an easy rider. We can't talk about Gene Hackman without talking about The French Connection, also one of the great movies of all time, and he won his Oscar for that. One of his 2 Oscars for that. Ben Stiller told a great story a few days ago on TV on a interview he did. He was of course, Gene Hackman was one of his idols, and he'd seen all his movies, and he'd never met him, but he was going to be in this. I can't remember what movie he was in. He had a real small role in a movie with Hackman, and he was dying to talk to Hackman. I mean, this was his idol. He wanted to ask him about this particular movie part, and Hackman came over out of the trailer, and they sat there, and they started chatting, and Hackman was real silent. He wouldn't really give away anything, and so Stiller started telling him how great this one role he had, that he saw the movie and he thought it was one of the great roles he had of all time, that nobody remembered it as well as all his his other great roles. And Stiller asked Gene Hackman, what did you think of that? He was so excited about asking Hackman about this role. He said, what did you think of that job? What did you think of that part? It's one of the great parts you ever had. And Hackman looked over at him and just said 2 words: money job. Money job.
As I have,
and walked away. And he walked away.
As I understand, that's how he viewed Hoosiers when he was getting into it. He says, "I'm just doing this for the money. I can care less."
Is that right?
But then he got into it, and then he's the lesson we all learn is the great ones give 100% all the time. The old Joe DiMaggio story, when he dove after a ball in a game that didn't matter, and guy asked him after the game, "Why'd you do it?" He says, "Well, there's a dad and his kid up there
That's right.
who've never seen me play before.
Yeah.
They came to see Joe DiMaggio, and
Yeah.
we went to see Gene Hackman, and we were very rarely disappointed, certainly, by the kind of things he did." All right, what?
That was Michael Jordan. That was Michael Jordan's mantra. Also, that's why he always dressed to the nines. He got dressed up, and he said, when I went through a lobby, there's going to be people that are going to see me for the first and last time, and I want to look great. I always want to look good.
That's classy. I like it.
Another name to throw out, and this is actually the name we finished with last week. We were talking about Luka Doncic playing against the Mavericks for the first time, and we all thought he would go off for mega points. But he did not score 40. In fact, he did not score 30. He just had a triple-double instead, 19, 15, and 12. And the Lakers, all of a sudden, the Lakers look like they are contenders.
Well, I'm the one that said I thought the Lakers were going to go down because defensively they didn't have a post player, Anthony Davis, protecting the basket. And since Doncic went there, they're off the charts. Like they're the best team in the NBA right now. They're amazing.
I have a subject. Go ahead.
Okay, I was going to say, did you see how there was a play recently where Doncic went back and forth with LeBron? They must have made 4 or 5 passes back and forth. He passed back to LeBron back to him. Each guy must have touched the ball a minimum of 3 times each before a shot was taken. But they're playing very well together. It's fun to watch. It really is. And Dallas has gone down the tubes because of injuries. But LA is much improved, and again, they're really fun to watch. And it's interesting, when he first got with the Lakers, he was shooting like the worst percentage in the NBA for a week or two. He shoot like 23% from the floor, which is kind of crazy for him. But obviously, that's picked up now. Didn't he go off the other night with about 40 points, I think, in the game recently?
Yeah, he did, yeah.
So his assists, it's amazing. He'll score 40, but he'll have double-digit assists, which is pretty cool. Okay,
Well,
Curry, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
This brings me to a point I want to make this time tonight. The mythology of coaching, and does it matter? Especially in the NBA, especially with the Lakers. I mean, Rich, when they gave JJ Redick the job, I remember you saying the guy's never coached a minute in his life. He's not a coach. He's a TV broadcaster. He's a player. He can't coach. How are they hiring this guy? Well, they hired this guy, and all of a sudden, I mean, they were stumbling around. They were playing okay before they got Luka, but now they have Luka and LeBron, 2 of the best players in the world, and all of a sudden, they're terrific. And they're playing great defense.
And he's brilliant. And all of a sudden he becomes brilliant.
Do they need a coach? I mean, if you have Luka and LeBron, Bob Stevens could coach a team, and Rich Basirico could coach a team. Come on. It's like, it's all of a sudden they're a contender. And Redick's never mentioned. It's all a player. But Redick's done something. I mean, I got to give it to him. Unless you're right that it's just a myth and you throw the ball out on the floor and it's all players. Let's look at Oklahoma City. Does anybody even know their coach's name?
No, I have no idea.
They had Shea Gilgeous-Alexander and a bunch of really terrific young players. But at SGA, he's got 4 50-point games?
Yep.
I mean, and nobody, I mean, do they have a coach? I mean, really, seriously. Actually, his name is Mark Daigneault. He started as Jim Calhoun's manager at Connecticut. Yeah, and then he went to Holy Cross and was manager and assistant coach, and then he eventually got to Florida and coached under Billy Donovan there. That's how and then when Donovan went to the NBA, he went there. But my point is, it's the players. It's not.
Of course it is.
It's the players. I got a funny story, and it's not that difficult, is what I'm saying. Also, I don't think it's that difficult. I was doing a book. I did Jim Valvano's book. My friend, Valvano, the coach at North Carolina State who died of cancer and now has a foundation. And we did his book together, and I would go to Raleigh and do some taping with him. One day he told me this great story that he was coaching at NC State, and his buddy Al Bianchi. You remember Al Bianchi, Rich, was the
Yep.
general manager of the
Yep.
Knicks.
Yep.
And he was the general manager of the Knicks, but Bianchi flew to Raleigh to try to get Jim Valvano to come coach the Knicks. And, they were buddies for a long time. And Bianchi was telling him, look, Jim, it's not that difficult, but it is different. He told me it's so different. He's telling Valvano, it's so different. You've really got to spend some time doing some adjustments, and, we'll help you with that. But it's a different deal, but it's really, you should do this. He really wanted him. And he talked about how it was so different in adjusting and so forth. And at one point, Valvano just looked at Al Bianchi and he says, Al, here's the NBA. and Valvano started dribbling a ball going backwards, and he started doing his voice like the organ in Madison Square Garden. That's the NBA.
How do you think Valvano would have been as an NBA coach?
Yeah. Oh, he'd probably been great because he's such a player's guy, and
He's definitely a player's guy for sure.
Yeah.
And that's what you have to be in the NBA. You have to be a player's guy, without a doubt,
Yeah.
right? And
Yeah.
they're not gonna want a disciplined guy.
And you wonder why.
Speaking of, I got a under the bus guy. I want to throw Anthony Edwards, the Ant-Man, one of my favorite players. I want to throw him under. He's, there was a lot of talk last week of face of the league. LeBron talked about it, and some older NBA retired guys are talking about how the young guys don't want to take on the face of the league name. And the Ant-Man, I understand. He's not only not the face of the league, he's like the face of intentional fouls, of fouling out, of screaming at the referee and getting technicals.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. He had the other night, he made 2 in a game against the Lakers. That gave him 16. That's an automatic suspension. He suspends 1 game. He's thrown out of that game, and he gets suspended for the next game. And, the Ant-Man, so at least if you're thrown out of the game after 2 tackles, at least take the ball and fling it up into the stands like fire the ball up 5-10 rows up there. What the Ant-Man did, he turned around and he flipped it on a bounce to the first row of the end line. That's all he did. I was like, what are you doing? I mean, he didn't even care. Come on.
He's getting a souvenir. He wanted somebody to have a souvenir from the game.
He's gonna get thrown. Yeah, fire it out of there.
Hey, while we're in the NBA, here's a guy not to throw under the bus. In fact, and actually for a time I considered him a friend when he was playing for the Cavaliers, but the coach of the Warriors, Steve Kerr, and the rants he went on about the fact that nobody will call traveling.
Traveling, that's right.
When have they called traveling? When have they called it in the NBA?
That's what he says. They won't. He says, why don't they? Weren't we all taught how this game is to be played? And he went on this big rant about nobody calling traveling, which I'm sure all of us have done hundreds of times in the last 10 years, saying, gee, why don't they? In fact, I do it every game I watch. Gee, why don't they call traveling?
Bob, didn't Kerr even point out a couple of times his guys traveled and they didn't call it? He pointed out to the referee that his own guys traveled. They didn't call.
Bob, not only that, when is the last time you saw 3 seconds called? And when's the last time you saw somebody stepping in the lane too soon on the foul shot be called? They step in the lane before the ball's even out of the guy's hand. They're stepping in the lane. So
somebody the other night, one of the NBA star players made a basket on a Euro step, the Euro step. And the announcer, I love the announcer. He said, "Well, there's a Euro step, formerly known as traveling, which it is. It's traveling. Don't you
traveling.
think? The Euro step is a travel. No question.
Absolutely. Yeah. And how about when they cross over? They carry the ball.
That.
Oh my Lord!
Carrying is so It goes back. You guys remember George McGinnis that played for played with Dr. J? He traveled every time he got the ball. Every time he got the ball, he traveled. He never called him. Never called for him.
Dr. J.
Speaking of Golden State, I got a guy we got to throw under, even though he's turned around the team. is James Butler.
Butler.
They're about 8-2, 9-2 with Jimmy Butler, a guy who travels all the time, by the way. But I'm going to talk about how he traveled from Miami to San Francisco, and he left in his wake the owners of this house he was renting on a canal. The owners, $10 million house, 5 bedrooms, 6 bathrooms. The owners are now seeking 2 months back rent that Jimmy didn't pay, $260,000 for 2 months back rent, plus $150,000 they say in damages. They say Butler
Wow.
They say Butler changed the locks on him so the manager couldn't get in and the maintenance people couldn't get in. So apparently Butler had something against the owner, it sounds like. So Butler also didn't take care of the swimming pool or the air conditioner, leaving this mold all around. The owners say they have to put new floors and new ceilings. I mean, Jimmy Butler, what do you think? What do you think his San Francisco real estate agent thinks of him now when he read that? Oh my God!
Wow. And yet Jimmy Butler could solve the whole problem with one quick stroke of the pen, and
That's
everything's solved, right?
That's right.
And not even
They
feel it.
added in their petition. They said they needed to keep Jimmy Butler's $130,000 security deposit. They well, duh. I guess so. You're not going to give that.
I think Jimmy walked away and figured that. Yeah, that was gone.
Yeah.
For sure. LeBron also. Well, since we're talking NBA, we'll finish up with a quick talk. LeBron hits 50,000. That's a lot of points.
That's a lot of points. That's amazing.
Rich, in the hundreds of games you coached, you never gave up a total of
50,000,
5,000, let alone 50,000.
Right, right. Yeah.
That's
you know what yes, you guys, I'm not a big fan of LeBron, not because of his ability. He's got tremendous ability, but I'm always taken back. He's 40 years old, and the way he's playing is amazing. 40 years old.
His numbers this year are the same as they were when he was the MVP 12 years ago.
Wow.
When he won it all in Miami,
wow.
The numbers are almost exactly the same.
How about that? That's incredible, isn't it? Think of that.
If he goes, he's been to 10 NBA finals. I realize he hadn't won a lot of them, but to be in his 20-something years now, he's been to the finals 10 times. That's
right.
And maybe 11 coming up.
Well, I think he said the other night there are some nights that he thinks he's playing as well as he did 10 years ago. I mean, the statistics say he is, and he sometimes feels he is, apparently.
So maybe he hangs around long enough for Bronny's kid to play with him, with Grandpa.
Well, first of all, Bronny's going to play with him first. I mean, I know he's going to be game together.
All right, we've done the NBA, and we almost did the whole show on that. We'll be back, though. We still got other things to do. We got college hoops to talk about.
Right.
I got a question I need to ask Curry about the portal and college basketball, and maybe a portal for coaches. We'll talk about that when we come back. Under the Bus, brought to you by Hudson's on the Docks. Welcome back to Under the Bus. Bob Stevens along with Curry Kirkpatrick, Rich Basirico joining us again. There we go. I got him back in. I got a college basketball question for both of you. But first, while we're talking pro basketball, let me throw one other, and I'm certainly never going to throw her under the bus because she might be the best, might be the queen. I'll ask you guys. Diana Taurasi retired this past week. 3 NCAA titles, 3 WNBA titles, 6 Olympic gold medals. She the best that ever played? women's hoops?
Curry would know that better than I would.
Well, she's a terrific
Is she
player.
on the Mount Rushmore?
Yeah, she's easily on a Mount Rushmore, I guess. She
Okay.
she has all those Olympic medals. Of course, went to ton. I couldn't believe she went to how many six Olympic goals does she have?
6 Olympic
That's
gold
24
medals.
years. It's 24 years. I didn't even
Right.
realize she played that long. For me, the best woman player I ever saw was Cheryl Miller. I've always
Yeah.
said that, even all these great players come after her, but I've always considered her the best physical player. Also did not like what Diana Taurasi did last year. Of course, I'm a Caitlin Clark fan, and when they kept her, I said she should have been on the Olympic team easily. And there's a lot of commotion about that and controversy. But Diana Taurasi was one of the prominent names that didn't want Caitlin Clark to play. Didn't think she should make it. And I think she and a couple other girls on the team really kept her off. And I thought that was out of jealousy and for no other reason. So anyway,
that's maybe so Taurasi could get that 6th one, and Caitlin now may not have a chance at 6 because she's got to wait 4 more years to play her first.
Right.
well,
Taurasi didn't even play.
I didn't think it was Taurasi worried about her own place on the team. I just, I think it would have been somebody else taken off. I just didn't like the way she handled that, but that's just a personal thing.
Well, I agree. I agree with you. Didn't she? I mean, she got a gold medal, but did she ever get any playing time in the Olympics?
I don't think so. I don't think
so
she was at the, she was at the end, and
right.
I think she was hurt as well. But but she did have a great career, and apparently she was a great team. She's a great teammate, and spearheaded that Connecticut.
Yeah, her and
deal
Sue
that
Bird. Her and Sue
they
Bird
had
were
for
tremendous.
so long. Yeah.
All right. The college basketball question I had, because the conference tournaments are now beginning for the smaller conferences. The big conferences are next week. We get a chance to talk about that then. And maybe a sign of the times, the assistant coach at Duke, Jay Lucas. Is it Jay or Jai? It's Jay. Jay Lucas, the son of John Lucas,
right,
has already taken the head coaching job at Miami. Miami's out. Miami's done. And he's gone into the portal and come out in Miami for coaches before the season's over. And
right.
Duke's not, Duke, right, is very definitely a contender.
Could win it. Yeah. Well, he's got to get a head start. He's got to get a head start on the portal. I mean, this has never been done. A coach doesn't leave until the season's over.
Yeah.
But he's leaving after Saturday's game.
John Shire, when they interviewed him the other day, didn't sound too happy about it. Obviously, he knew this was coming, but what he's not happy about, I think, is Miami, to their credit, gave Lucas an ultimatum. They said, look, we want you now. In other words, after the regular season, after Saturday. Jai Lucas wanted to stay with Duke for the rest of the ACC tournament and the NCAA tournament. He wanted to stay coaching them. And Miami said, no, you either take this now or we go somewhere else. So he had to choose between Miami and staying with Duke. And I think, I don't know, Rich, you know this better than the coaches' situations, their relationship with the players. I think this is a factor as Duke moves on to the ACC tournament and the NCAA tournament. Their second guy, their second leader is gone and not there. Right. Does that make, do you think that might make a dent in what they're not making a dent, but change?
Yes.
Change
without a doubt. He should stay. He should tell Miami, I'm staying. Bluff them, tell them, look, my commitment. My commitment is to Duke's program till the season's over. And I think that would say a lot about him as a coach and as a person. Him leaving the kids makes a difference. Absolutely makes a difference.
Here's a big problem. I don't know why this is like it is, but the portal opens up before the NCAA tournament ends, which is absolutely ridiculous. It's terrible,
ridiculous.
And right. that's why Miami, wants Lucas for the portal opening up and the whole thing.
Curry, you know why they want him for too? Think of this: the Booster brothers are from Miami, and he's the one that recruited them to Duke.
Oh, the Boozer brothers.
Right,
Yeah,
right, yeah.
I can't.
They're from
Somebody
Miami,
mentioned.
and he's the one that got
Yes.
him to go to Duke, according
Yep.
to what I've read.
Well, but remember, their father was a big star there at Duke.
Yes, yes,
I mean,
yes.
I can't believe the twins, they're twins, right?
I believe
They're
so.
twins, even though one is an inside guy and one's a
One's
guard.
perimeter,
But
right?
yeah. But somebody brought that up the other day. But he could steal a few of these commitments from
He
Duke.
might.
I don't think it would be the Boozer twins, but maybe,
But Miami
hopefully,
was on
by the
their
way,
list. I mean, it was down
hopefully.
to Duke and Miami. It was down to Duke and Miami.
Well, you're
So
right. You're absolutely right. And they're from there. And wouldn't that'd be great? I mean, Tar Heels would rejoice.
that's a North Carolina fan talking. That's
Good
a
for
North
Jai
Carolina.
Lucas. Good for here's how old I am. I covered his father, John Lucas, in college and
At
early in
Maryland.
college when he became a freshman at Maryland. And John Lucas was a great tennis player. I don't know if you
Yes.
remember this, but he
That's
was
right.
nationally ranked. And he came out in the tour one spring, summer. That's when I got to know him. And he played a little bit of the tour. He was a really fun, bright, intelligent guy, really great guy, John Lucas.
One of the
I don't
great
know.
we think of two sport athletes and we think Bo and Dion and whatever, but John Lucas deserves to be on that plane, doesn't
That's right. Yeah.
At the top
sure.
in both his sports, at the top of them. Yeah. I've never met Jai. Of course, he went to Duke, so that puts him off my list. But but apparently he's been, as you say, he's been their head recruiter. He's the number one assistant, and apparently he's a huge loss for Duke. That's what Shire thinks.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I totally agree with that. Now,
But
if that was in the NBA, I would say probably not. But in college basketball, high school basketball,
There
absolutely.
you go.
As well as they're
You bring it
playing,
back
I mean,
around.
the chemistry's right. And I think he should talk. Look, he'll have other opportunities to be a head coach in college basketball. Miami's at the perfect job. I would have told Miami, hey, if you want me, you're going to have to wait. If you don't want me that bad, I'm staying.
I wonder if he would called their bluff if they'd have folded and said, we want him that bad. We'll get him after, after the tournament.
Get him after. For sure. I mean, that shows his commitment. That shows his commitment to the program, right? His loyalty to the program. Don't be asking somebody to leave their team during the season. You ask me to leave my team that I've worked with during the season when we have a chance to make it to the Final Four and win a national championship?
Well, it seems to me he could also video recruit while he's still coaching at Duke during the month of March and April. He could go to high school. I don't know.
That would be brutal. Oh, that would be brutal to all concerned. All right, let's take a quick break. We'll come back and wrap things up. I know Rich and Curry each have other folks they need to throw under the bus. We will do that right after this from Hudson'sOnTheDocks.com. Welcome back. Bob Stevens along with Curry Kirkpatrick and Rich Basirico. I got somebody to throw under the bus from today. How about ESPN for settling a deal with Stephen A. Smith? 5 years, $100 million. Wow.
I knew you were going to.
And they're going to give him less to do.
Bob, I knew you were going to bring that up. He's a little. He's just short of my record when I worked there, though. He's still short of my record.
You got it all back, Curry, in the expense accounts, though.
Speaking of ESPN announcers, I got a Charles Barkley quick one, even though it's not really thrown under the bus. But he was at, of course, Auburn. We saw Auburn lose this week, by the way, to Texas A&M.
Yeah.
And they're number one now. If Duke beats Carolina Saturday, by the way, they're not going to do that. But if they do, they'll probably go up to number one. So we can keep them from that as well. But Barkley was at an Auburn game the other day. They were interviewing him on the sideline, and he was talking about, he's from a little town called Leeds, Alabama, which is really tiny town. And they've opened a Buc-ee's there. Do you guys know what a Buc-ee's is?
Yes,
Those big things
absolutely.
on the interstate. They
Yeah,
sell hardware and food and clothing and sell everything.
everything. They sell and sell gasoline too. They sell
Yeah.
everything.
So
Hundreds of gas pumps. Yeah,
somebody
yeah.
somebody took me into Buc-ee's once. I couldn't believe it. It was so many people. I got to get out of here. And Barkley claims that he's been at the Buc-ee's several times in Leeds, but he doesn't go in. He just watches the people, and he can't believe they bring out stuff and all that stuff, because he doesn't go in because he doesn't want to. He says he doesn't want to talk to people, because he says whenever I go to the laundry or the gas station or the grocery store, they all ask me. People ask me, "Why are you here? Why am I there? It's the laundry. It's the gas station." He said, he said they somehow have the misconception that I want to talk to them, which I really don't. He said, well, of course he talks to everybody. So, I mean, he's
Of
just
course he does.
making
Yeah,
a
I
joke.
was just going to say, anytime I ever talked to Charles Barkley, he started the conversation.
Yeah,
As I remember.
yeah. Well, they asked him about the statue that they're talking about, putting up a statue for him outside the Auburn Arena. And he said, well, I don't really care what they make. He said, just make it skinny. Make me skinny. He also,
I was going to say, would he not be the perfect spokesman for Buc-ee's?
He would.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
mean, come in here and get way too much of the wrong kind of food, and fill your car up with gas and get going. I mean,
Well, he said, I haven't heard this before. I'm sure you guys have heard this, but it's so simple and so great. He said, I hope they make the statue skinny. He said, because I have a real weight problem. He says, everybody knows my weight problem. I can't wait to eat. I've never heard that. Have you guys ever heard that before?
yeah, I have, and I don't think it was even with Charles, but yeah, that's terrific. So, any last people to throw under the bus? Rich, you got somebody?
Rich, I can't believe you haven't brought this up. The Alabama coaching staff, which you've always had a bone to pick with anyway. What happened did you see the Tennessee-Alabama game?
I did not see that. I saw the score. I followed it on my phone, but I didn't actually see the game.
Well, it was a great game on the weekend, and it might have been for a number one seed. I mean, if we think the number one seeds are going to be Duke, Houston, Auburn, there's one left, and Tennessee and Alabama were kind of playing for that.
Right.
It's 76 all with 3.8 seconds left. Alabama has the ball under their own basket. Tie game. Oates, their benches there. They're going over play. Right. They come timeout. They come out under their own basket.
Oh, I did see this.
Tennessee switches and do all this. There's
5-second count
in the middle. And what's his name? Mark Sears, who they want to get the ball to. He goes into the corner. Well, they had a freshman, Phylon, the other guard, throwing the ball in. And I don't know why they don't have big guys throw the ball in on every inbounds play. But he doesn't see Sears, and they switch on Sears real quick anyway. But he throws the ball way out to the guy way out beyond but the center line, it's a violation, a time violation,
right?
5-second time violation. So they don't even get a shot.
Right.
They don't even get a shot. And now Tennessee gets the ball, still 3.8. They come down. Alabama doesn't press them he doesn't press them. They just throw it into Meshack, one of their star players. He dribbles down, he dribbles across this time, the half court. Who's the big white guy for Alabama that killed us? Grant Nelson. He kind of makes a move to guard him, but then he gets a brush off block. Somebody brushes him off, so he leaves. And Stevenson, the kid from Chapel Hill, the other big guy for Alabama, he's supposed to come out and get Meshack, I think.
Right.
But there's only 3.8 seconds. Meshack just dribbles in. Stevenson is nowhere near him, and he walks into a 30-foot three ball game. Right. Tennessee wins. Yeah. 30-foot threes are common everywhere now, right? If you're not guarding. There's so
Exactly.
many guys that shoot him, and they're just routine shots. It was a routine shot for Mason.
Yeah,
The place goes crazy.
I
The
know. I did see that.
court
Actually,
storming.
I did see that. It was crazy. Listen to this. The over and under for Alabama that game was 77 points. They had 76.
76, 76. Yeah.
Right. So they had 76. All you need is, so you think it's just 3.8 seconds. Either they're going to score and get to 78,
Yeah.
or it's going to go in overtime. And of course, they're going to score one basket,
Way
right?
over. Yeah.
They can't, like Curry says, they can't get the ball in bounds. How could you not get the ball in bounds? Your
And
major
then
college basketball players, and they just come off a timeout. You cannot get the ball in bounds, never alone get a shot off. But think of this, Curry. It was I thought it was 3.6. How did he get the ball and dribble the ball as many times as he did and get the shot off? They,
Meshack.
yeah, they say one
Meshack.
second per dribble, right? 1 second.
Well,
He had 3.8. Go back and look at the tape. He must have dribbled the ball at least 4 times. So you
well,
get right.
not only that, prior to that, on the inbounds, the 5 second, they played that back, and they didn't give the guy 5 seconds. They called it on him about 4.5.
Oh, is that right?
So that was
Okay.
a bad call. This is a bad call. Alabama screwed up everything. I mean, but I think there's been some ramifications to after that game. After that game, Alabama went in and got out hustled, out toughed by Florida.
Yep.
Was it last night or night before? We're
Yeah,
doing this on a Thursday.
right.
He got beat by Florida, a really important game. And Tennessee went and
And
with the
lost.
emotions of that game and got beat by Mississippi at
Right.
Mississippi. Now that's not. Listen to this. Here's a Rick Barnes story. Okay, Tennessee's playing Mississippi in this close game. Mississippi scores. A guy came out of nowhere, got 19 points in the second half. He scores a rebound basket. They've got like 7.5 seconds now. And Tennessee's got the ball. They bring the ball up again. Meshack's got the ball, exact same position he was in when he beat Alabama. He's got the ball. He's got to win. He's got to make this to tie, though, not to win. Instead of rising up nobody's near him, instead of rising up, he stops his dribble and calls timeout. Of course, that right in front of Tennessee. Of course, that's a Rick Barnes timeout.
Right.
Now, Rich, Tennessee only has 3 seconds.
Mhm.
Now, I don't know about you. Now, you're the coach, but I don't think 3 seconds is enough time to do a last second play. And, considering the rebounds and all that stuff, you need about 5 seconds to do that.
Right.
3 seconds, you're really rushed. And anything
Right.
you do, you're rushed.
Correct.
So
Correct.
why does Barnes call a
It's a
timeout with
mistake.
3 seconds left?
It's a mistake. If he's going to call
Yeah.
a timeout, he should have called it when the ball's in the baseline, because
Yeah.
then you can make you can make your first pass, at least a half court. If that's what you want to do, I don't know how many timeouts he had left. We used to have a play called a home run or a double. A double means you can get the ball to the half court line. Then you tell the official, we're throwing the ball to half court and we're calling timeout immediately. This way, you're not wasting the time, as you mentioned, Curry, of dribbling the ball up the court, 1, 2, 3. So you call it on the baseline, not at half court, and get 3 seconds. I mean, that's
Let
easy.
me
I mean, it's
ask.
easy for me to say, sitting on the sidelines, trying
Well,
to coach. It's a lot different when you're in front of 20,000 people and have to make a decision right away. We're making decisions after the fact, so this is easy coaching. But I think Bob, you even mentioned about Rick Barnes. I think. I mean, his teams play well, but I don't think you'll see him in the Final Four. I really don't. I think
I don't trust him when it counts.
No, I don't either. I think mistakes like that hurt you, and you really have to. Your players need to know in a situation like that. You practice it in the game situation at the end of the game. What are we going to do when we have it? When they hit the shot the last time, Curry, he said he was trying to get a timeout. When that kid hit
oh
that
yeah,
shot,
He said
he
that
was
wasn't
trying.
even a play. He
Right,
said
he
that
was
wasn't
trying.
even a play. Well, guess what? He got the timeout in this game, in the next game. So he said that's. I don't know, man.
You should have let him. You should have let him go. Should have let him
And
go.
and just think, these guys get paid more than Stephen A. Smith.
That's right. Curry, good luck to your Carolina Tar Heels. If they beat Duke,
Right.
they're in the tournament. If they don't, gonna
I'm
be a tough
worried.
time next week.
Yeah, I'm worried. Yeah. If they don't beat
Yeah,
them,
all right.
they've got
And,
to play Duke. They've got to play Duke tough. They can't get blown out either.
you did a good job of maybe putting a bow on this show. I will add one more, and it goes back to you guys calling plays. Jimmy Chitwood made the shot. Remember,
There you go. There's Jimmy.
get him,
Jimmy
get him behind the screen, hit that jumper, and beat the buzzer. That's all you got to do. That's
Everybody
all you
should
got to
use
do.
that play, right? Everybody should use that play. Why not?
Everybody should use it. Hey, we want to thank Justin Jarrett for riding herd on this crew tonight. Been a great show. Hope you all enjoyed it. We'll see you again next week when we throw folks under the bus.
See you guys. Thank you.
Under the Bus is a production of the Loco Media Network and is filmed on the Hilton Head Island campus of the University of South Carolina, Beaufort. The executive producer is Justin Jarrett, with assistance from Trey Ramsey, Mahogany Hickman, and Adam Carroll.